There are a lot of scams out there intimidating people about hormonal health. So let's talk about hormonal health and stop this madness once and for all. I want to give you a starting point of what exactly hormonal health means. But before that, let's talk about what hormones are. Hormones are essentially chemical messengers within our body that travels through our bloodstream and tells our organs what to do and when. And these hormones are produced by a system in our body called as the endocrine system. And there are several different types of glands which are in the endocrine system, which are called as the thyroid gland, the pituitary gland, adrenal gland, and lots more. And what we essentially want to understand is how does this hormones work. So, and each of these glands produce very specific hormones which make sure that our body is in good condition and all our systems and all our organs are working what they are supposed to do in the first place. So that's what hormones do. Hormones play a very major role in our health. It essentially helps our body in metabolism, which is how our food turns into energy. It has a role in stress response, in our how we sleep, how good our sleep is, and even how we process and store fat within our body. So when our hormones are in balance and when our hormones are all the glands are doing what they are supposed to do, our body is stable, we feel good about ourselves, our mood is better, and we even sleep better. But when these hormones are not in balance, or one particular gland is producing too much or too less, what happens is we feel like our sleep is not well, or we have excess fatigue, or our mood is not at all good, and basically we don't feel a sense of stability or a sense of balance within our body. And that's essentially the reason why there are so many people out there saying that hormonal balance is so essential, and which the point to which I completely agree. But there are also certain people who scam based on this fact that hormonal balance, this particular product will give you the exact hormone balance that you're supposed to have, and that's where I disagree. So to essentially understand what exactly hormones are, I'll give you some specific examples of the hormones that are produced in our body and what their functions are. Cortisol is essentially called as the stress hormone in our body, and it is produced by adrenaline glands, and this is usually produced when we are in a very stressful situation. But the problem is that when we are stressed for too long, the cortisol in our system remains high, which means that there is a suppression of some other things, such as it can lead to us feeling so dizzy or feeling really unstable, and it can also make us feel like we're not getting enough sleep, and it can even affect our immunity. Essentially, it gives you this feeling of like extreme fatigue or even weakened immunity. So cortisol does play a major role when we are in stressful situations, but it also means that when it's too long or it has been in our body for a long period of time, it can also has the counter effect where our body seems to not be in balance anymore. The second one is called as insulin, and I'm sure you might have heard of it. Insulin is produced by the pancreas, and it helps our body in absorbing sugar. So after we have had our food, the insulin makes sure that their glucose is absorbed, and it helps our body to be energized. It makes sure that this can be converted into energy for us to do our day-to-day things. But when insulin is produced too much or too less, it can lead to blood sugar crashes, it can make us feel fatigue, and even over the course of the time, guess what it is? Diabetes. It can lead to diabetes. So insulin also plays a major role, and these are the hormones that we might have heard at least once or twice in our lives. And the third one, which is also something we might have heard, is estrogen and progesterone. These are very vital in our reproductive health, and estrogen and progesterone plays a major role. Estrogen influences our menstrual cycle, our skin, our mood, and our bone health. and progesterone helps our body with pregnancy to essentially help our body to prepare for pregnancy and even mood stability. So irregularity in estrogen and progesterone can actually lead to PMS or irregular cycle or mood instability and so many other things that can be directly interconnected with our reproductive health. And testosterone is something we all know that is produced in men, but something that is much lesser known is that it's also produced by women. Testosterone is also present in women bodies, and these essentially help with muscle growth or libido, bone strength, and things like that. And when there is a low amount of testosterone in our body, it can lead to decreased motivation, fatigue, and obviously mood instability and things like that. So a high or low testosterone in a man's body can essentially affect all aspects of their life, from muscle mass to mental health. So testosterone does play a very vital role in our body. And the last one, melatonin. Melatonin is essentially produced by the pineal gland, and it is the hormone that helps with our sleep-wake cycle. So what it essentially does is it responds to darkness so that we can go to sleep. And when we are exposed to blue light, or if there is any problem with the production of melatonin, what happens is it can lead us to having insomnia or poor quality sleep. These are some of the most commonly known hormones, and the bottom line is that any of these hormones are affected, what happens is we can have, as I mentioned, fatigue, low libido. It really affects our mental health, mood issues, sleep issues. So hormone does play a very vital role in our body. And as I mentioned before, these are the reasons why hormonal balance is very much, we are exposed to the role of hormones and its balance in the media we consume, or even doctors really talk about the importance of hormones. But what happens is some people do take it to their advantage and sell products, literally scamming products, where they sell you saying that this will balance your hormones. But I would say that be very skeptic about it, because the things you might sometimes need medications, but that should be given by your doctor or somebody who has license to do so, and not just because some product says that it can do the same. So I would suggest that if you do not have a very specific issue with any hormones, or if your doctor has not suggested you to take any medications, the one thing you can just do to take care of your hormones is the boring lecture we have heard over and over again of having like good nutrition, sleep, and all those things, which I'll just remind you, but the point remains the same. It's that unless your doctor says to take prescribed medications, do not buy things or be very skeptical about the products that are sold to you by saying that, oh, but this product can balance your hormones and all those things. Do your own research. So what are the things we can actually do to balance our hormones? First one is nutrition. It's essentially that they eat really good leafy greens and healthy vegetables or healthy diet, and also make sure that you are having a good protein source in your food. And do not eat junk food. And I know this is a very boring stuff to say, but like, reduce your consumption of junk food, or eat everything in moderation. Like, it does not have to be on all extremities always. We have to keep a balance of what we need and what we want, so make sure that you eat things in moderation and be more conscious about what you're consuming. That's more than enough. Second thing is obviously exercise, physical activity. Aim for moderate exercise activities such as strength training, walking, yoga, and things like that. And why I'm suggesting exercise is because it helps you to balance your insulin, and it boosts your mood through endorphins, and it also makes sure that the stress hormone cortisol is balanced. Which brings me to my third point: manage stress. I know that all of us are going through a very drastic period of in our lives where we are going through so much stress, but make sure that you do things that reduce your stress once in a while, like such as meditation or breath work or anything, or things you do, things that you really enjoy, and make sure that you keep time for things that you love doing and not things that you have to do because you're so stressed about it all the time. So make sure that you arrange time, organize things in a way that you have time for yourself and manage stress accordingly. The fourth one I would say is get quality sleep. People need around 7 to 9 hours of sleep on average for everybody, and I know sometimes it can be hard to wake up and sleep on the same time, but actively try to do it, because I know most people say that you have to do this, but I am also living that life and I know that it's not always possible to do all those things. So I think the only way we can figure a way out of this is to be more conscious about the things we are doing. The next time you are into 30, you're still watching that show, just ask yourself, can't I watch this show tomorrow? I think I should go sleep now because I have classes in the morning. And yeah, it's not personal. But at the end of the day, we have to do what we have to do. So even though you do not like it, make sure that you try to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And the last one, which as I mentioned before, reduce the blue light exposure you have, especially before going to sleep. It really messes with your melatonin production. So even if you try to sleep early, but you were on your phone just before then, let's say you are trying to get 8 hours of sleep, but just before you go to sleep you're on your phone, it can really affect how longer does it take for you to actually fall asleep, and the sleep you do get might be of poor quality. So let's just make sure that we are not in our phone at least for the last half an hour of before us falling asleep. That's the least we can do, and then gradually we can increase the amount of sleep we get, So I think these are the things you can do to balance your hormone in a very natural way, and you do not have to take a ton of supplements or ton of products that claim to balance your hormones. And as I don't even think I have to mention this, but still, even before you take any medications, make sure you ask your doctor whether it's essential, and only try to take medications that your doctor has prescribed for you, and not just because somebody else said that, oh, this might help you out. Be very skeptical about it and do your own research. I hope this video has been really helpful for you, and I hope this has been a starting point for you to understand what hormones are, what are some of the hormones inside our bodies, and what are some of the things we can do, some of the natural ways we can do to balance our hormones. And let me know what you think of in the comment section. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much. Bye bye.